It is better to be violent if you have violence in your heart than it is to put on the cloak of nonviolence to disguise impotence. Gandhi. I want to start the video off with that because, and by the way, yes, I did research that quote after I seen it in the A-Team movie. Because the reality comes down to this. We are at a crossroads here in America, whether we want to accept it or not. We can deny it, we can make excuses, we can say that our preferred way is the only way, but the fact of the matter is Gandhi's quote is right. It is better to be violent if you have violence in your heart than it is to put on the cloak of nonviolence to disguise impotence. What is impotence? Well, I'm not talking about erectile dysfunction. I'm talking about doing nothing. Sitting back and saying, okay, not my problem. I disagree with everything, but I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm going to sit here and be good little chattel. You're a dumbass. See, what Gandhi pointed out was it is better for people to be violent if they had violence in their heart. If you desire to go out here and hurt someone and kill someone, or you feel the need to go out here and hurt someone or kill someone to do the right thing, then do it. It's the right thing. But do not use the cloak of nonviolence to disguise the fact that, well, you're not going to work. You're not going to do anything. You're going to sit there. That's fucked up. I disagree. But that's it. You don't write your congressmen. You don't write your senators. You don't protest. You're not packing bags and loading mags. You're sitting around doing nothing. See, right now is the time before things get bad. Now's the time to talk. Talking has a purpose. When the time comes to pick up a gun, talking will have a purpose too. But it'll be a completely different dialect. See, actions speak louder than words. So you can look at all the FBI counterterrorism programs, propaganda, if you will. But they take people who already have violence in their heart, who are in a bad spot, and they encourage them to go off and do something stupid in the name of terrorism. And in so doing, entrap them. Well, actually, technically, it's not trapping because these guys can back out at any time. But what it essentially breaks down to is that they go out, they conduct their little terrorist operation with their fake bombs, and nothing happens except they go to jail. See, as much as it's a counterterrorism operation to stop people who could be conceivably recruited and put in a situation to operate as terrorists, which I know I'm defending the FBI here, but that is the reality of it. They're also making better criminals because now they've gone to prison and they've gotten a little bit of experience and have met real terrorists in prison. And, you come into this other issue that it's a complete mindfuck of the American people. Anytime someone gets up and says, let's revolt, let's fight the government, everyone thinks it's either a FBI counterterrorism operation or it's bullshit or it's legitimate. But the reality of the matter is half the people who say they're going to fight the government aren't. Those who are might, if they get forced into a corner because they said it. And still, there's the possibility that, violent revolution might not be required. Yeah, right. That said, we need to understand that it is better to use violence, if we're going to use violence, than it is to use non-violence as an excuse for doing nothing. See, it's a lot like these people who talk about voting. I vote, so I did my part. You didn't vote, so you don't have a right to complain. No, I enlisted in the Army, picked up a rifle, and put my life on the line so that I could defend your right to vote, so that you can, and your right to free speech, so you can tell me I have no right to complain. See, the reality of the matter is I wasn't, I didn't get very far rank-wise. I got busted down a couple of times. I have issues with insubordination and authority and everything else. Part of that is due to the fact that, my first time when I was in the Army, they gave me a drill sergeant who was a friggin' genius, who was like, knew everything about everything, and it was just funny as hell. Another one who was a Navy SEAL turned Army Ranger. And another one that I've talked about before who broke his neck when a guy landed on mine in front of him going into Grenada, has 4 plastic discs in the back of his neck. He's currently retired from the U.S. Army and can't do the physical stuff of being knocked around or anything because it might kill him because of those plastic discs. And yet, with a broken neck, before he even had the plastic discs, he goes out on a minefield and pulls 4 people off of it. The man was a hero. When he told us that story in basic training, showed us the scars and explained everything, he said something to us that has stuck with me and a great deal of the people that I have been in basic training with throughout our entire lives. The uniform doesn't make you a hero. The uniform doesn't make you a good man. The uniform is nothing but a piece of cloth. It's a symbol. It's what you do in that uniform, your actions, that give that symbol merit, that give it credit. Now, the Oval Office and the seal of the United States of America are what Mr. Obama is hiding behind. Notice I didn't call him president. And that seal of office, that seal of the nation, carries a lot of weight because people believe in the symbol. But the man behind the symbol isn't the man he claimed to be, isn't the man we need, and really, to be honest, isn't the man that most Americans want. For everyone who says, but I voted and he won the popular election by 2,000 votes, that really isn't a lot nationally. It's a very small margin. But it doesn't really matter because there was issues with the voting machine fraud and everything else coming from Romney and Obama as well. So it really doesn't matter because the fact of the matter is your vote doesn't count. You voted and it doesn't do a damn thing. It doesn't pick the president. The Electoral College does. Who picks the Electoral College? Senate. So politicians pick who gets to be their executive officer. Just like in a corporation. The shareholders of the corporation decide policy and everything else. And they use their shares as weight to pull around. And they do this for the very important reason of it gets the policies they want in place. And it's also the shareholders who pick the CEO of the company. CEO stands for Company Executive Officer. Barack Obama is not just the commander-in-chief of the United States military. He's not just the president of the U.S. He's the U.S. Executive Officer. Hence the reason why he can issue executive orders. Why his branch of government is called the executive branch of government. So the U.S. is basically ran like a corporation. Now, here's the problem. We, the American people, are not products. We are human beings. Therefore, we are not chattel, cattle, whatever you want to use. We are, in fact, shareholders in this corporation. Now, a great many of us forget that the law, this is what separates America from a true corporation. We have a judicial branch. The judicial branch serves the purpose of making arguments as to laws and even executive orders from the president, which are passed, which are found to be either constitutional or unconstitutional. This was the whole reason I brought up Bad Elk versus the U.S. in the rocket launcher video. Because, one, if the Supreme Court has already said that a police officer without a warrant and who has not seen a crime committed cannot be ordered to arrest a person, then, well, that pretty much throws out a lot of the National Defense Authorization Act snuck-in powers. And you shouldn't be giving the president additional powers in a budget plan anyway, especially when it would require an amendment to the Constitution to give him those. Then, on top of this, we also have the issue of, I don't know, this whole gun thing. See, there's been a lot of pro-gun rulings from the U.S. Supreme Court. And these pro-gun rulings establish that you have a right to self-defense, you have a right to protect yourself. The police actually have no right to protect you. You have no duty to retreat in public, as you're in public and have nowhere to retreat to. And you have, various little things out here which establish you have a God-given right to protect yourself. Now, the government wants to come in and define how you can protect yourself. They want to. You see politicians, and Joe Manchin is one of them, getting up here talking about how the Second Amendment is about hunting. No, it's not. The preamble to the Bill of Rights states that the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, which was required to actually ratify the Constitution, is to protect against misconstruction and abuse of government power. So what we have here is multiple cases of abuses of government powers by the company's CEO. And in our American corporation, the CEO is overstepping his bounds. The senior shareholders, the bigwigs on that executive board, a lot of them are supporting him in this idea. And what we're coming down to, essentially, is the fact that us little minor shareholders are expected to give up our share of the corporation. And we don't want to do that. So they're trying to make sure that we can't do anything with our little share, our little piece of America, our lives, our freedom, our safety, our security, our ability to self-defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic, against the very police and the government, if necessary, as established not only by the Constitution in the fact that you have the preamble saying to protect to protect against misconstruction and abuse of government power, paraphrased by the way, but in the fact that the Supreme Court has also upheld the ruling. Sorry. So it comes down to this. If you have violence in your heart, be violent. I'm not saying kill innocent people or children or any stupid shit like that. I'm saying come to the defense of others. I am saying defend yourself. Whatever you do, you do. You're going to be the bad guy. They're going to hate you. They're going to lie on you. So you best win. Or you can go give up your little piece of America and go crawl in a hole somewhere. Because that's basically it. You can resist without having to resort to violence. I mean, think about it. If you find out the police are on their way to raid some guy's house for an assault rifle, and you think this person, has the right, you're 10 times more effective driving down the same road they're going to come down, if you know which one that is, throwing a bunch of jack rocks into the road to bust out their tires, kind of like a spike strip, they use for high-speed pursuits, and then getting on up the road a little bit to let Mr. John Doe, the police is coming to take your guns. you might want to get your family out of here, and you might want to leave and go on your merry ass way. You bought them a little bit of time. You resisted the government. Cost them a little bit of money in getting new tires, but that's it. Or if you want to be violent and set up a far ambush with a deer rifle, or a near ambush with a semi-automatic rifle, then you can do that. But do not use the idea of, I don't believe violence it should be used at this point in time as an excuse to sit on your ass and do nothing. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your family, talk to complete fucking strangers. Maybe you can put a little idea into their head to say something, to write their congressmen, their senators, whatever, to do something. And I don't care what you do something, but do not do nothing.